Hello and welcome back to the London Food Network podcast, the show where we explore the stories, struggles and successes behind some of the most inspiring food businesses across the UK. Today I'm actually really excited to be joined by Duncan, one of the founders of the company bakery, a Scottish bakery that's made quite a name for itself by combining traditional craft with a deep commitment to sustainable quality and community. Based in Edinburgh, Company Bakery is known for its incredible sourdough bread made using local milled flour, regenerative farming principles and a real respect for the process, something that's become quite rare in modern baking. And we're going to talk about how it all started, how they've grown while staying true to their values, and what it really takes to run an independent bakery in today's climate. Duncan, it's great to have you on here. Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks very much for having me.
Tell us a bit about your history. What got you into baking?
Nothing's actually gotten, I should say straight up front, nothing's got me into the actual baking, luckily for the team and the customers. I have had to get involved in the early days in some shaping, but it became clear very quickly that my skill set lay elsewhere. What got us into bread? I guess just being in London 15 years ago or so. And, E5 was coming along at that stage and Borough Market, which you know all about, and sort of what was going on in the sourdough scene then moving over to Melbourne for a couple of years. And just the standard of all food over there, but in particular some of the breads, that got us into sort of hospitality and bread in more general, eating it rather than producing it at that stage.
So what made you plunge? And also, for me, I'm quite interested. Why Scotland in particular when you were a London boy, right? You were in London for a while.
Yeah. So London. Yeah. So we were in London and we moved to Melbourne for work. Amy, when I say we, actually, I should say Amy, my wife and business partner at Smith and Gertrude and Company Bakery. We went to Melbourne for my work at that stage. I was working for a company called Hobson's, which did sort of the CRM systems for universities. So I went over there for a couple of years, which was unbelievable in terms of properly getting into the food and drink and hospitality sector. At that point, just as a punter, Melbourne's where it really all started coming together. That's where the idea for Smith and Gertrude came along. But Edinburgh, I mean, a lot of this podcast there's probably going to be a theme of, we just thought, why not? So Edinburgh, we were living in London, we were looking to buy a flat at that stage. We both had decent jobs, but there was nowhere for the flats we could buy and where we wanted to be. Those two things just didn't match up. And we came up to Edinburgh one pre-Christmas or post-Christmas one year. Amy's got Scottish roots, so she was actually born probably about an hour outside of Edinburgh and then moved south.
Okay.
And she was a lot younger. Came up to Edinburgh, absolutely loved it. On the train back, said, let's just have a look at houses or flats, and realised what we could buy, and just said, let's do it, let's move. So yeah, within 6 months, we found a place and moved up here. And that was 2013, and haven't really looked back since.
So when did the bakery come about then?
So we moved up 2013, S&G started 2015, and then the bakery started in 2017.
Just S&G is the bar you have, is that right?
Yeah, sorry, Smith and Gertrude, yes. So the wine bar started in 2015 and the bakery started in 2017.
So I guess we need to know a bit more context about the wine bar. Tell me a bit more about that. What's that about?
Just, we were chatting about it before we came on. Hospitality, I think London, then Melbourne, but also just sort of from family, friends, and just in particular, actually Amy's family and sort of communal eating, that side of things. We just always loved eating and drinking. Then when we moved to Melbourne, that was really what sort of opened our eyes to the possibilities of maybe we could actually do this. At that stage, it wasn't really, it was little more than a pipe dream. I don't know why, to be honest. There's loads of startups in London, but Melbourne, it just seemed like everything was possible. So over there, we really started honing the idea of a wine bar. And, wine, even at that stage, calling it a wine bar, we're like, it's got just so many sort of connotations that we didn't necessarily want. We just wanted essentially somewhere where anybody could go in at any time of day, have a nice glass of wine, a nice bit of cheese, sit and read a book on your own, listen to some music, or go in with all your mates. That sort of European style of, it isn't one thing, it's just a place that happens to sell wine. So when we came back from Melbourne, moved back to London, neither of us loved our jobs. My degree is in philosophy and theology. So I was constantly
Blimey.
thinking, what am I doing with myself? But
Overthinking it. Overthinking everything.
yeah, massively, massively. Oh, yeah, that was it. We just thought, well, if we're gonna do it, let's just do it. So we looked at a few places in London, just nothing ever quite worked. And then when we moved up to Edinburgh, we just started looking at neighbourhoods up here and found one in Stockbridge that we just thought was absolutely spot on. So yeah, moved up 2013, opened that in 2015. And at that stage, it was very much, we had a big, long communal table down the middle, which now is, we weren't reinventing a wheel, but it wasn't as big a thing as it is now. We ummed and ahed about it for ages. And it was actually Amy who made us stick to our guns. I was like, I don't know if this is going to work. Let's just go individual tables. And now the communal table is as much part of S&G. It's a big part of our second site, big part of the bakery. So that whole sort of communal element is a massive part of what we do.
Oh, nice. Nice. So that's the concept with the bar then as well. It's just to kind of unify people coming in, just having that one table. A bit like Wagamama style, I guess. They were
Yeah,
kind of like,
yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's it really. It was for both the bar and the bakery. It was very much, I don't know, we like that approach of in Melbourne. Again, we had nothing to do in those days. So we didn't have kids or anything. So at weekends we would walk for an hour, 90 minutes to go and get breakfast. And that was all. You queued up outside, you got your coffee, and then you sat wherever you found a seat. And normally that was at communal tables. So you're sort of, next door to lots of other people sitting there eating your avocado on toast, which was not the thing it is now back then, to somebody. When I went to Melbourne, I didn't drink coffee. I went over there, I was like, what the hell? I remember getting
really?
into, yeah, exactly. Getting in somewhere and they said, what do you want? I said, I don't drink coffee. They said, you can have warm almond milk. I was like, I'll try. I'll try a flat white. I'll do what everybody else is doing. So yeah, the whatever you want to call it, tagline for Smith and Gertrude is wine, cheese, company. And the company is a big part of it. And then sort of getting on to company bakery, obviously company is literally the name of the business. So it's always company and community, and that side of things has always been a massive part of what we do.
So how did you go from this bar then, well, wine bar or community centre, if you want to call it that, to then think, oh, okay, yeah, that's all good. Let's go and bake bread. That's a big transition there, isn't it?
Yeah, again, that's, I don't know. I don't actually know what the purpose of what you setting up this podcast, but if it's for people to learn from, I don't think this is going to be the one where they go, oh, that's inspiring. We just got to know people in the industry, and we got to know at that stage Holly, co-founder at Company Bakery. She was running an amazing cafe and also doing a bit of wholesale bakery, and Ben, who was Edinburgh Food Studio. Exceptionally, Ben's been all over the world. You basically name a restaurant, Ben's done it. Studied all over the world. A chef, a food scientist. So we met Ben at wine tastings, and we met Holly just sort of in the network. The hospitality network in Edinburgh is and was tiny. And we were getting bread from a great bakery out in East Lothian, but then they stopped wholesaling in. And Smith and Gertrude, the menu is very simple. At that stage, it was cheese, charcuterie, and toasties, with which you got amazing sourdough or amazing baguettes. So when your wholesale bread supplier says, we can't do it anymore, it was a bit of a challenge. We were sitting, two separate conversations. Amy and I were chatting to Holly, and then probably over too many glasses of wine. I think it was a wine tasting with Ben and his then business partner, Sashana. We were just said, why don't we give it a go and just create a bakery that can supply our own bars and restaurants. I mean, it really was that. There was no sort of, this is what we're going to do. Smith and Gertrude was a dream that we planned and we did so much study for, and we did all the right things. And then Company Bakery, just like, we should give this a go. So timing, I guess, timing was massively important.
Well, they say, don't they? They say, people always say when if you're lucky, and actually it's all about timing and preparation, they say. So that's a perfect example of that, isn't it? Being lucky, but it's really about being prepared for the right time for something to happen and take that opportunity. I mean, you say it's not inspiring. I think it is, because to you it might not seem like it, Duncan, but how many times do people sit around a dinner table or drinks or whatever it may be, talking about all these amazing business ideas, this would be great, and how many people actually do anything about it?
Yeah. I mean, I definitely agree with that. I've spoken to a few people, actually a guy very recently who was talking about maybe having a career change, and, it was not a business chat. It was a very natural chat. He said, how did you guys do it? I said, to be honest, with Smith and Gertrude in particular, we just talked about it so much until enough people said to us, do it or shut up. Like, do it or just shut up talking about it. Like, and it was that, because it sort of made us like, okay, like we need to do something about this. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I think that's the reason for the podcast, by the way. And I talk to anyone in the hospitality, food sector, and everything in between, is because of, people don't realize, or even us as business owners, entrepreneurs, whatever you want to call us, like, we never really look back and understand that actually the leap of faith we've taken, not many people do, because everyone's got a great idea, or 10 or 50 or whatever it may be. But it's that difference of having an idea and actually coming through with putting yourself out there, getting ready to fail, because most businesses do fail, and then having the right grit to get you through those shitty, tough situations that will come through, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah, it
How long
takes a
have you been
particular kind
doing
of
it?
person to actually persevere. Me,
Yeah.
I was 24 when I took over this tiny little shop in a town called Hayward Heath, down in Sussex. But I've always been one of these, like, just ridiculously naively positive person that believes you can do anything at any time, at any place.
Yeah. Right.
So
Yeah.
I walked into it thinking, oh yeah, of course I can run a fishmonger. Is that hard? Can that be?
Yeah. Yeah. I think you need that though, don't you? You need, again, just speaking to people who have those ideas, I think you can definitely be too clever and you can overthink things. You need a little bit of naivety and just that sort of, what's the worst that can happen? Because I think if you actually knew what the worst that could happen was, you probably wouldn't do it.
Yeah, you wouldn't. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I call it analysis paralysis, basically, when people, because I know a lot of my friends that could be perfectly, they could run better businesses than most people I know. And they've got great ideas, they would execute it properly, they're very disciplined, responsible, and all the rest of it. But they get in that stage of, over analyzing everything. And of course, that's the problem. When you start to analyze and you weigh up the risk and all the challenges that you can have running a business, these are the ones you can think of. Of course, it doesn't include all the unexpected ones that really throw
Yeah.
you sideways. But in the end, what I love about this podcast is when we talk about these challenges, and what that kind of brings is this incredible ability for us to problem solve things that, until you're faced with that problem, you would have never thought of that solution, right? So you're kind of constantly learning how to fight fires, and eventually you learn how to be more proactive about these things, so that when problems occur, you're kind of more prepared. So
Yeah.
I think it's a really good training in life in general to kind of run a business, because it teaches you how to fail often, but how to learn from that and carry on and actually get better all the time, right? Because I think with children in particular these days, we don't teach them that failing is part of growing, right? We try and protect our kids, try and, you know, build this little cocoon for them, and try and prepare them for this world. And it's like, well, the world isn't like that. It doesn't work that way. Actually,
No,
the
I mean,
best lessons
yeah,
are learned through some form of pain and suffering, unfortunately. And it's just
definitely.
the way it is.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I mean, in that respect, my kids are lucky. They see me fail daily. So yes, they will be well prepared for failure in the future. They will know what failure looks like, and then how you put a brave face on it.
Yeah, I encourage it to my kids nowadays. It's like you just got to go through the pain, and it's all right. It's good to fail, because what's worse, the pain of regret or the pain of actually going through it, failing and learning. And I think the pain of regret is something that is way more painful in the long run, because it stays with you. You know what I mean? Like
Yes.
that little point in your head is constantly there pounding. Ah, shit,
Yeah.
shoulda,
Yeah.
coulda, woulda. I hate that. I
Yeah.
much prefer
Definitely.
to get on with it. So
Yeah.
yeah, so bread. So you set up the bakery for just basically supplying your own kind of network, if you like, of businesses. And then what? I guess demand grew from there because you're making good stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. So we set up in like a shared sort of warehouse space, the biscuit factory in Leith, and it was with the view to Holly's Cafe, our bar, and Ben's restaurant. We knew a lot of people, so we thought, right, well, if we're going to be taking it to them, then there'll be 2 or 3 other places that will take it, and then there'll be 2 or 3 other places that will take it. And broadly speaking, that is sort of how it played out for the first year or so, I'd say. We all had other things to be doing, so we kind of set this up. We got baker in Ewan, and we were doing deliveries at that stage. But I mean, it was really just sort of, right, go and get our bread and take it to Bob down the road and Jane down the road, and that was it. And that's sort of, I'd say, the story of the first 12 to 18 months was we cracked on with our other businesses, and this sort of plodded away in the background largely. And then came talking off air about sort of the worst situations you've been through, some possible, having now been in this for 10 years, then came Brexit and then COVID, and COVID just changed everything. I don't know what customers we were up to by then, but let's say 40 wholesale customers for the bakery, and 39 of them suddenly, shuttered their doors the next day. Right. Well, that's a challenge. So COVID, actually, we had to completely flip the business model. At that stage, none of us still were working full time in the bakery. But if I get this right, Ben he couldn't open Edinburgh Food Studio, so he went into the bakery full time, and essentially we moved to direct to consumer home deliveries. And that, from all of the awfulness of COVID, actually from a bakery point of view, what that did was, going back to your point earlier, we had to learn so quickly and change systems so quickly and flip what we were doing, that everything we learned in that process and the marketing that came from it, because suddenly we were delivering to, 150 customers, individuals on a daily basis, really transformed where we were to what we are now. That was the transformational period for the bakery.
Nice. And where's the bakery sit at now? You've kind of gone back to the wholesale side of things as your bread and butter?
Yeah.
Pardon the pun.
Yeah, I mean, in the same way that COVID just switched off wholesale once COVID was gone, that direct consumer model, we still do it, but it's 20%, 25% of what it was at its peak. So we keep that running because the customers we've got there, some of those customers are from that time. They're awesome, and we like doing it, and we've got the infrastructure to do it, and it gets the vans out and they're branded and everything. So we still do it, but wholesale is what's it going to be this year? Wholesale is still about 75% of our revenue. I think last count, we were chatting about it yesterday, we've got about 320 active wholesale customers, and they are the business. That's the majority of all of our focus.
A good amount. That's a lot of bread.
It's a lot of bread, and it's only it's in having conversations like this, you just sort of take it for granted what you're doing, and then you speak to somebody, and they'll say, so you're doing that every single day. You're doing that is what we're doing. We're doing it 362 days a year. So it's a lot. It's a lot of bread going out of the building now, especially as we've still got the photos of one rack of bread 7 years ago. So yeah, there's and pastries. There's a lot of bread and a lot of pastries going out of the building.
There's a hell of a lot of loaves, isn't it? Bloody hell.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, and I think that's the kind of thing we do as business owners. We seldom actually look back and look at the kind of, where we're at now to what it was when we started. Because oftentimes anyway, what it is now is not really at all what it looked like in the beginning or where you were going to, you know what I mean? It's like you just adapt over time. And particularly with food is quite, food kind of trends change and the playing field changes. And, it's very much like fashion, I find, with food. It kind of, there's peaks and troughs with different things, and of course certain things stay, some don't so much, and there's new trends that come along, and it's up to us to kind of like, for us, for example, with the seafood side of things, we had to really adapt a lot with things like raw fish, like Japanese, right? And that's kind of our biggest selling category now is because that's really, really up at the moment is your kind of like Japanese, Asian cuisine, and that's become a massive chunk of our business. And it's just kind of like always changing your business to make sure that you're kind of within what people are looking for, what's trending at that time.
Yeah, I mean, we've been lucky. Like, the team at the bakery is unbelievable, and Malk, Rannock, they've been with us. I don't know what they were. Malcolm was probably like employee number 5. Maybe Rannock was number 6, So we've gone to all these iterations of change, but at the same time, we've had those people. Rose, another one who was maybe employee 7, is now traveling. She's somewhere in Africa traveling. She drove from here and is heading down to South Africa on a driving. Yeah, I mean, it's insane. In fact, I should be prepared. I should say what her Instagram thing is that she's cracking it all on. But I mean, yes, but she's doing this amazing.
Let me know after that. Let me know later, and I'll put it on the.
I'll find it. I'm terrible at that stuff. They have been sort of, as we've navigated all this change, having these core people stay with us on the journey, and that just gets more important year after year after year, the people. Absolutely. And then we've just sort of added and added and added, and they've allowed us to, knowing that we've got that amazing base of people, that's allowed us to bring in other people who then sort of feed off that. So yeah, that's definitely helped us not steer too far away from where we started from and the sort of core values that the business began on, and keep us not on the straight and narrow, because we're all prone to getting distracted and trying different things, and maybe not sticking to the things that we should actually be focusing on, but they
Yeah,
at
yeah.
least
It
keep us
strikes
clear.
it by the shiny things, they say.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I think we'll suffer from that. I think it's natural, isn't it? Because again, it's about, this is out of 100 of these kind of like kind of almost impulsive moments we could steer ourselves towards. Like if you learn to control yourself enough, then actually that's a good thing, because one of those 100 things will work really, really well. So it's good to kind of explore it, but have the what I've had to learn the hard way is to not go for every bloody opportunity that presents itself. Actually, the,
yeah,
the biggest strength in the business has come from me saying no more than I say yes, particularly to myself. Because, like I say, I've got this disease there where I believe I can do anything, anytime, any place. So I'll say yes to anything because I can, if in my eyes, I'll see that working.
yeah,
But the
yeah, yeah,
reality is, you always grossly underestimate how much time it's going to need, and funds as well, of course.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
saying
good to
no's
have that.
tough. Saying no is it's a tough thing to do. Like, I'm awful at it. I say no ish quite a lot, but like, it's actually a firm, hard no is rare.
Can I have some money, please, Duncan? Just tested. Well, in terms of like I guess we're talking about the bakery in this instance, but let's include the other businesses you're running as well, because they sound really successful and interesting. What's been the kind of moment in the last, 10 years, I guess, since you set up? Was it 2015 or 13 you set up the
I'm 15. Yeah, the S&T
15?
opened.
So 10 years. That's
Yeah, 10
that's
years this month. Yeah.
a good amount of time. What's been your biggest highlight? What moment, when you look back, makes it kind of all worth it? What's been your biggest achievement, or, moment or win?
So with the bar, it's going to sound so cliched and trite, but genuinely with the bar, I would say, is still being here and going through like what has been a tumultuous 10 years. And I wasn't in the industry before that. So I don't know what it was like pre 2015, but I've spoken to enough people to know that it wasn't like this. The headlines you read and what you see in the paper and what you hear about, the sort of government policies with hospitality and that kind of stuff, like, it's a tricky place to work. But we were doing our 10-year celebrations this year, and I was speaking to Andres, one of the team, who's been with us for ages. And he knows the business inside out. He said, "Look, we should maybe do some menu items that we had day one." I said, "We can definitely do that, but they're essentially the same." Going back, and that was, we set the business up. We didn't want it to be a fad. We didn't want it to feel like, now, oh, it feels so 2015. It obviously opened in that time. We wanted it to just be a place that was there and was always there. So actually, for Smith and Gertrude, I would say the wins are, we're going out with the team on Monday, and I know that'll be wicked. We don't do it enough, but the fact that the people coming into the bar, we had a customer come in, sorry, I'm rambling, but a really good customer who's become a friend. He moved down south and he came into our new bar, Portobello, and walked in and said, I wasn't there, he said, it felt exactly the same as Stockbridge in terms of the welcome, the team, the overall atmosphere. And we're not in there very much because we're focused so much on company bakery. So I guess that was a big win, having a customer who had been with us since day one in Stockbridge come into the new site and say it works, and it's got that whatever essence, I don't know what the word is, of what you wanted it to be without you needing to be there. That's company bakery. I mean, our biggest deal that we landed ever this year, which was, it was a big deal for us. It is a big deal for us in every sense of the word. One of the reasons, and you never know how legit people are when they say this kind of stuff, but one of the reasons they said they went with us was because they came in, they did a tour around the bakery, they met loads of the team members, and they commented multiple times on just how much fun, in their words, people seem to be having, and like, they genuinely seem to be enjoying being at work.
Nice.
So they could see the craft going into it. They could see the hard work going into it, but they picked, you can't fake that. We've got a cafe at the bakery, and you can see directly into production. People will know if you're running something at the back where people aren't enjoying it. So I'd say that those kind of comments from customers, whether it's an individual at the bar or whether it's a wholesale customer or an individual at the bakery, They are genuinely like the things that we'll spend ages at our directors' meetings chatting about 3-year strategy, big plans, all this kind of stuff. And then what will cause the most sort of conversation will be somebody's left an amazing review, or, you know, our customers giving us this feedback, and it's great. And that is the kind of thing that we genuinely thrive on.
Nice. Well, I think that's a bloody good marker for success, isn't it? Really. Again, I think that's another rare thing in hospitality is this kind of like community approach that a lot of us do have, because I think food is something that brings people together, and it attracts a certain kind of person. You know, people that work in hospitality, food production, drink. It's something that's, I don't know what it is, that's common in our blood or whatever it may be, but it kind of just brings a really nice sense of community. I would agree with you. Like for me, successful is watching my business at the moment, where everybody gets on, they crack on, whether I'm there or not. And when I'm there, nothing changes. It's not like, you know, I'm the boss that sits in the
Yeah,
ivory
that's
tower, and
one.
you know what I mean? It's like I'm just one of them. It makes no odds at all whether I'm there or not. And I think that's a
Yeah.
nice feeling.
Yeah, I mean that is, you know, again, going back to our conversation off air about why you would do hospitality. Like, I think that's basically it. You've got to love food, but I think you've got to love the part that food plays in everyday rituals and in terms of, you know, moments and memories and that kind of thing. We had I'm from Surrey originally, like, and I'm about as buttoned up as it comes. I don't say that with any, like, I wish I wasn't. But, you know, we had a chef come in and the sommelier came in, and they were tasting the bread and genuinely welling up in terms of how they could see this working in there. They were doing a new restaurant and the memories it brought them back about eating this style of bread with their family kind of thing. I found it incredibly awkward, but also love the fact love the fact that it was having this kind of, and then afterwards I thought it was lovely. So yeah, like I think it's you've got to be in it for that kind of thing, because you've got to take the wins where they come.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's nice. Nice story. That's quite funny. Um, you know, what, of course, I'm sure you've had many challenges, right? But what's the, you know, you must have had some moments where you really questioned your life choices and wondered what the hell you're doing. You know, describe one of those, and you know,
Yeah, I
was it
mean,
more on
like
the bakery side or the bar side or both?
it's 20 to 1, so I would say I've had 3 or 4 this morning about, you know, like but they're a lot less existential now. No, I mean, actually, um, really haven't had that many where where I've Amy would probably say differently, but where I've questioned the life choices. But certainly in the early days of the bakery, you know, we were in a shared building, so you would turn up for a delivery at, and this, let's say this was a year in, so we had 20 deliveries. You would turn up at 5 a.m. in a, it's pissing down January, and the door would just be locked, and they'd changed the codes, but they'd forgotten to tell you the new security code.
Shit.
Or
Yeah.
your delivery driver would have the key, and you'd have to drive out to where he lives 40 minutes away, wake him up, wake his family up on a Sunday. This all, you know, and then drive back, get the bread. And just, it's not the way you want to start your day. And then you're late delivering to people, and customers are always awesome, but, you know, you're late with their bread, which they needed for that morning service and that kind of stuff. So at that stage, I was doing leaflet dropping when I was, whatever, 13. You know, I found myself leaflet dropping at 37 and thought, is this progress? You know, I'm still doing what I was doing 24 years ago,
Or
except I
time
said
traveling.
paid for it. At least when I was 13, I was getting paid. Um, so like, no, I think because I knew I didn't want to do what I was doing for the rest of my life. Like, I've never overly questioned life choices. I've questioned the choices we make on a daily basis. Like, are we doing the right thing for the business, for the next steps? You know, it doesn't get easier as you go along, because the sort of the risk changes. You know, now we've got 75, 80 people that work at a bakery. So, you know, the decisions just sort of get amplified in terms of the ramifications of if you get them wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. And what are your plans then? So, with regards to the bakery, what are your goals or plans for the next kind of 12, 18 months?
I don't know, because we were doing a 3-year strategy and somebody sent in a nice review, so we just got distracted about somebody saying,
Yeah, sorry about that.
I think, so we opened the cafe where we are now. We've signed a 10-year lease at Eskimills, beautiful beautiful spot. They've done an amazing job with the whole complex. Actually, our landlord, and that's in Musselburgh, just outside of Edinburgh. So we signed a 10-year lease 2 years ago, and with that, we opened our first cafe, which has gone brilliantly. And we've got capacity there. And I think, we're constantly torn. On a Monday, you chat to any of us, and I think we'll be like, right, where are we going? Let's get this. How can we deliver nationwide? How can we get this bread out to everybody in Scotland who wants it? You chat to us on a Friday, and it'll be like, it's going so well. It's just really nice. Let's just keep it as
Yeah,
it is.
right.
Like, this is great. We've got a great team. Everybody's getting along. Everybody's like in the zone. So why change that? Why don't we just keep doing what we're doing? So we're constantly torn between those two places, but to try and give a more like structured answer, I think it will be keep doing what we're doing, bread and pastries, wholesale. The range will expand. It's expanded a bit naturally, but as the team's grown, we're just adding more and more ideas into it. We're getting better at what we do. So I could see a range expansion and a geographical expansion as we get smarter with our logistics. Like, the operations team are phenomenal with what they manage to do. You bake this unbelievable product. The bakers, correctly so, get so much plaudits for that, because it's exceptional. But the operations team are then getting that out to 200 customers on time, the correct order on time on a daily basis, to 62 days a year. So we've now got that sort of engine in place. I think we can do a broader geography, and we've started doing. So we've been Edinburgh based up until this point. We really started into Glasgow earlier this year. That's going great. So I hope we'll do more in Glasgow, and then we'll just see where we go after that. We are, to the point you made earlier, we are very good at reacting. Like, we try to be proactive, and we try and plan, and we try and have a strategy. And then something shiny will come along, or just, an opportunity or a challenge will come along, and we'll lean into that and see where that takes us.
Well, what are your main challenges then, would you say, like for achieving bigger growth? So approaching more people for a broader geographical area, maybe more cafes, or just increasing the range in the cafe, or B2C? Is that another one, like online?
Yeah, I think all of them. I think, we've discussed, would we do another cafe or cafes? Like, I don't want to like downplay it, but we are all in this to enjoy what we're doing as well. And I think, like, we love the cafe we've built at Eskimos, and it's not unique. There are other places similar to doing what we do, but it's created a sort of environment that you can't just replicate. You've got all this activity going on all the time in production. You've got operations coming in and out. So it is a vibrant space in a lovely environment. Talking about whether we would do other cafes, but we're being very turned down opportunities with that, but being very considered about how that might work. I think the challenges are the product's fresh. We are making this product. We're now a 24/7 operation. There is now somebody in the bakery 24 hours a day. It's a fresh product, and we are all committed as directors. It's a fundamental value. There's no product degradation, whether you get it next door in Musselburgh or whether you are getting it the other side of Glasgow. You're not getting a different product. So that puts a limit on it. That's a challenge that we have to address in terms of how do we do that and scale. How do we do that if we want to go down into the borders or further north? So they're the challenges. I think is just sticking true to what we've set out to do, which is this exceptionally high quality product delivered to as many end consumers who ultimately want it.
Yeah. Nice. And what's your favorite part of the business? What do you naturally gravitate towards, and what do you try and avoid?
Avoid anything like detail. Luckily, we have people who are very detailed. And like I said, our operations team, Hannah and Luke in there now, really, really great people who are good at seeing a problem and working it through and getting to the detail of it. That is just not my forte. I can do it, but I'd rather not. On the flip side of that, what I gravitate towards is people. Like, I wouldn't say I necessarily enjoy like management, because I think maybe you got to be a bit of a masochist, say you enjoy management, but I enjoy the engagement with the team. I enjoy seeing the team develop. I enjoy seeing people take on new roles, and also the benefit that brings to the business. Going back to those team members who have been with us so long, seeing how that has a massive impact on new team members who come in. So I gravitate more towards that and more toward the new. Like, I play this odd role in the bakery where I'm constantly trying to keep us focused and keep us like really nailing what we're doing, when actually naturally I would lean much more towards what we're doing next, where we're going next. that's an amazing premises. Why don't we go and look at it? We could definitely do something there.
Interesting. Nice. Well, yeah. I mean, next time I'm in Edinburgh, I'll most certainly be checking you guys out. Like I said, my wife, well, I think I told you, worked for Sushi Samba and Duck and Waffle, so she was up there, I think last year to set up. And I
Yeah.
believe you supply one of them, don't you? Don't you do you supply
Duck
Duck
and
and Waffle?
waffle. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're in the
Nice.
St. James. Yeah. Well, definitely. Yeah. If you come up, come and find us. Well, yeah, drop me a message.
Yeah, absolutely. I come from that flat white and nice bit of pastry.
Yes. Excellent.
Oh, well, like, just quickly, darling, like, where can we find you? So anyone listening to this, what's your channels? Like, where are you? What's the best way to kind of try your stuff and see where you're at?
So, in terms of the social media, Instagram, which I'm guessing is Company Bakery. Facebook, we will have. Facebook, we will have. Also, I'd imagine Company Bakery. Yeah, social media, Company Instagram and Facebook. In terms of coming to find us, we've got a cafe out in Musselburgh. But I mean, if you're coming up to Edinburgh, we, if anywhere you are, um, you'll be able to find Company Bakery. I would say now within a 10-minute walk of wherever you are. We've got so many amazing little delis, cafes, restaurants, bars, hotels. So yeah, I mean, chances are if you're coming out from London in particular and you're choosing to stay in one of the London hotels that are recently opening up here, there's a few of them. You should be able to get our product.
Nice. Nice.
But yeah,
Well, look,
come out to the
I'll
cafe.
obviously plug you guys in as well on the old, when we release the podcast, and I'll plug all that in. I'll speak to one of your team and see if they know all the links.
Amy and Marta are brilliant at that. Amy, my wife, does all the. She's going to be livid about this bit. The marketing side of things, they're all over that. And Marta's transformed our Instagram. I do get to see it all. It's transformed our Instagram. So yeah, they will be able to sort out all that side of things.
Nice. Well, to everybody listening in, thank you for your time in this podcast. And of course, if you like what you heard, then please do subscribe and, pass on the love, forward this on to your friends, family, and anybody that wants to listen. Duncan, I really appreciate your time.
No,
Excellent
it's great.
podcast. And I forgot to mention, but the podcast is sponsored, as always, by Embrace AI Consultancy. Thank you, Duncan. Appreciate it.